Yo, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another What If video. It's basically a Sonic What If video. And in today's Sonic What If video, we're going to be doing what if Silver was in Sonic Heroes. And specifically for this version, what if Mephiles accidentally sent Silver back during the events of Sonic Heroes? As I've seen other videos about this topic of Silver being in the events of Heroes, but instead, he's from a ruined future with Metal Sonic involved, but I haven't really seen one where Mephiles ends up accidentally sending both Silver and Blaze back during the events of Heroes, which in my opinion, it could be quite an interesting story and see how that could play out. But before we go ahead and get into this, make sure you guys go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below what you guys think would happen if Silver wasn't Heroes and if Mephiles ended up accidentally sending Silver back during the events of Heroes rather than during the events of 06 and how everything would end up changing there. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this what if. We start our story off similar to Silver's opening story in Sonic 06. As Silver reminisces on the destroyed future with him questioning how did this happen. Him and Blaze still counter Iblis and they defeat the huge fire monster and they encounter Mephiles the Dark. Mephiles would manipulate both Silver and Blaze, explaining how he can help them save their future if they go back and kill Sonic the Hedgehog. And thus, because of this, Silver agrees to this, naming Sonic as the Iblis trigger along with Blaze, but Blaze is still a bit hesitant because they have Sonic Rush, as I do think Rush takes place before both 06 and Advance 3. And Bud doesn't end up agreeing with her, saying this for the best and we have to kill him. And that's because this Mephiles ends up opening a portal. However, Mephiles ended up doing a miscalculation. Rather than sending them back during the events of 06, he accidentally sent them back a few months earlier during the events of Sonic Heroes. And thus, Silver and Blaze arrive at Seaside Hill, while Mephiles is gone separately. Silver and Blaze look around confused. This doesn't look anywhere like their future, at least a better version of what their future looks like from the past. They end up looking around, and they end up contemplating, did Mephiles send them to the wrong location? But they would push it off to the side, and they would decide to go ahead and look around. As Silver and Blaze would begin to make their way through the zone. However, along the way, they would end up noticing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles making their way through the zone, as they're attempting to go stop Dr. Eggman, and they would see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles fight the fake Dr. Eggman. And that's because as the two of them will try to go confront them, however, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles would have already been gone, headed off to Metropolis. And from there, they would end up following. And upon following there, they would end up seeing Sonic take on Team Rose. However, they wouldn't end up trying to step in, but they would get attracted by something, allowing Team Sonic to get away. However, while there, they would end up finding a blue Chaos Emerald. And the Silver, deciding that it could be useful since he saw Mephiles have a similar jewel being the purple emerald, he would decide to grab it, with Blaze agreeing with her, saying this could be very useful for us. And thus, they press onwards to go find Sonic. From there, we arrive at Casino Park, and this is where Silver and Blaze finally manage to catch up to the trio of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles and manage to confront them. As Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are going through the zone, Silver uses telekinesis, throwing Sonic into one of the slot machines, catching Sonic off guard alongside Tails and Knuckles as they get their attention. Tails and Knuckles would help Sonic up as Silver and Blaze make themselves known. Sonic would up asking, "Who are you?" Silver would introduce himself. "I'm Silver, Silver the Hedgehog. I come from 200 years in the future, and I've come to stop you, Iblis Trigger." Iblis Trigger, what are you talking? However, before Sonic can finish this sentence, Silver would be using his psychokinesis, throwing Sonic down to another slot machine. Tails and Knuckles would try to intervene, however, Blaze would quickly use their fire powers, kicking both Tails and Knuckles back. However, Knuckles would glide toward Blaze, punching her on the face. However, before we could get another attack in, Silver would use his telekinesis and throwing Knuckles into a slot machine as well. And I'm saying, "Back off, my friend." However, Sonic would quickly get a homing attack and followed up by spin dashes. Tails uses Tails as well, grabbing Silver and throwing him onto the ground. However, Silver will go ahead and quickly get back up and use his telekinesis, throwing Tails onto the ground, followed up by catching Sonic in the air as Sonic attempted to go for another homing attack and would throw him down to the ground. However, Sonic would quickly slide and manage to dodge the attack, and from there would manage to get another homing attack in. However, Silver would manage to grab parts of the slot machine and would throw them at Sonic. Sonic would dodge the attack with Knuckles jumping in to help Sonic as well. However, Blaze ended up coming back in as well. Sonic dodged one of her attacks and spin dashed into her as Knuckles managed to get a punch to the face of Silver. However, Silver not really know how to fight with him, grabbing more of the slot machine, including an entire slot machine as well, and would throw it at Team Sonic. However, Tails managed to get them out of the way. And Blaze would also go ahead and attempt a fiery kick. However, Sonic would end up homing attacking into Blaze, and Knuckles would punch her in the face, causing Blaze to be sent flying, damaging her for a little bit, and knocking her out for a little bit. However, Silver, getting pissed off at this, will form a cycle can use his knife and would attempt to throw it at Sonic. However, Knuckles will manage to break it. Alongside this, Tails end up coming in with dummy green bombs and will throw them at them. Alongside this, Sonic will quickly use a spin dash, and thus the three of them begin to overwhelm Silver. However, Silver manages to grab both Tails and Knuckles and throws them onto the ground, knocking them both out, leaving in a one-on-one fight between him and Sonic. Sonic will begin to dodge all Silver's attacks. However, he will get caught in psychokinesis and will be thrown into another slot machine. Silver will fly to where Sonic is, with him saying, "It's over at this trigger." However, Sonic would have smiled with him saying, "Then you clearly don't know me that well, Silver." And then quickly using a homing attack, throwing Silver down to the ground. And I'm saying, "Simply put, I never give up." And Silver and I'm saying, "Very well then, bring it on." And then Silver will grab more parts of the slot machines and would throw them at Sonic. However, Sonic will manage to dodge the attacks quickly. And Sonic would have asked me, "Besides, why do you think I'm this Iblis trigger? And what even is Iblis? Or the Iblis trigger?" Silver very confused, saying, "How do you not know what Iblis is? It's a giant fire monster that will destroy my future." Sonic very confused, saying, "Yeah, never heard of it." Because keep this in mind, Sonic at this point hasn't even gone to Soriana yet, so he has no idea what Iblis is. However, this would end up catching Tails' attention as Tails and Knuckles quickly gain back up. With Tails telling Sonic, I think I know what he's talking about." Sonic would have asked him, Tails, "Really?" Tails saying, "Yeah, I think he's talking about Iblis and how it's the other half of Solaris." Sonic would have asked him, "Solaris?" However, before they could question it more, Silver would throw more slot machines at them. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles decided to quickly retreat out of the casino from Zone, and then we managed to get away. However, Silver and Blaze were hot on their tail. Team Sonic arrive at Bingo Highway, with the three of them panting. Sonic ends up turning to Tails and asking, "So about this Solaris Iblis thing or whatever." Tails will go into detail explaining what he knows about this Solaris project and how essentially the Duke of Soliana was trying to separate both Solaris and the Mephiles into Iblis. Sonic ended up asking why. However, Tails ended up simply saying that he doesn't know why, probably to help something or someone. Sonic ended up asking, "So Iblis is part of this Solaris thing?" Tails ended up saying yes, and Tails would also go into detail about Solaris as well, how he's essentially a god that devours timelines. Sonic would have contemplating this well, as is Knuckles. And Tails has to explain how, from what he's gathered as well, from information he knows about Solaris and Mephiles and Iblis and all that stuff, he would explain how, in order for it to reform, supposedly they need all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic would have thinking this through. Sonic would have asking, "So why does that Silver guy think I'm the one who's the Iblis trigger or something?" Doesn't him contemplating with him saying that more than likely he thinks that you're releasing Iblis. Sonic would confusing, saying, "I don't even know what this Iblis dude is, and I barely know anything about him. How would I be able to release him?" Knuckles ended up saying more than likely that someone manipulated him into doing this. Sonic would have asking, "Who though?" The heroes end up contemplating this and decide to keep a lookout for both Silver and Blaze. As unbeknownst to the trio, Silver and Blaze are following and listening in on their conversation. Silver would be confused with them saying, "So he doesn't know much about Iblis? So how would he be able to release it?" Blaze ended up saying, "More than likely, if he doesn't know much about Iblis, and you know, releasing Iblis on accident, with him not knowing much about it and doesn't know what he can do. And thus, that's how he released it." So we're contemplating saying, more than likely you're right. If he doesn't know much about Iblis, then he has no idea who holds Iblis, and thus released him, not knowing what the huge consequences would be. We have to stop him, no matter what it takes. And so Silver ends up looking at his blue Chaos Emerald, and thus the heroes continue to follow Sonic. It's not until Lost Jungle where Team Sonic comes across Team Dark that's where things begin to change once again. Silver and Blaze would have followed Team Sonic throughout the entire time, and thus, while Team Sonic is in the middle of their fight with Team Dark, Silver and Blaze end up coming in, and you end up noticing Shadow fighting Sonic. Silver ended up saying, "Mephiles?" However, Shadow would be confused with them saying, "I'm Shadow, Shadow the Hedgehog." Silver would be confused, and you end up thinking that this is an imposter or something of some sorts, and thus we move into attack. However, Sonic would spin dash into Silver saying, well, if it isn't Silver, how you been, buddy?" Silver ended up glaring at Sonic with him saying, "Stand down, Iblis trigger," and Silver attempted to use his telekinesis on Sonic. However, Sonic managed to dodge the attack with spin dash into Silver. Alongside this, Omega, seeing Silver as another threat, would attempt to fire gunshots at him. However, Silver would quickly protect himself using telekinesis to catch the bullets and would throw them to the ground. Omega, however, would attempt to charge into Silver. However, Silver quickly uses telekinesis and throw Omega down to the ground. This pissing off Shadow when doing a roundhouse kick on Silver, throwing him down to the ground. Alongside this, he ended up firing the Chaos Sphere. While that's happening, Blaze ends up fighting Rouge, Tails, and Knuckles. And thus, while that's happening as well, Shadow ends up pulling out the green Chaos that we found earlier. Silver also attempts to pull out us as well, wondering what Shadow's about to do. And thus, as Silver goes in for an attack, Shadow ends up calling on Chaos Control. And thus, ends up roundhouse kicking Silver, similar to Sonic 06. Silver managed to get back up. As Shadow explains that through this chaos control how with this, Silver stands no chance against him. However, Silver, determined to save the future, would not attempting to pull out the chaos symbol, and thus would attempt chaos control. However, this time Shadow would decide to dodge the attack and would end up using chaos fear on Silver. So yes, they don't accidentally create a time portal here on this version, at least not yet. And it's because of this, Shadow and Silver will go in a one-on-one fight along with this. Sonic would also end up jumping in as well, with it being essentially being a triple threat match, every man for himself. And thus, after an intense fight, Silver and Blaze would decide to retreat, as would the entirety of Team Dark. And while that's happening as well, we see a shadowy figure watch them, and that in fact being Mephiles. Mephiles, of course, quickly realizes that they are in the wrong time period, definitely, as Shadow clearly does not have all his memories on him. And when he encountered Shadow during 06, Shadow had access to all his memories, so he quickly realizes that, yeah, we're a few months behind a schedule. And thus he realizes that he's going to have to get to Silver and Blaze and explain to them essentially where they're at and how they're in a different time period, and now they're not in the time period they're supposed to be. And thus Mephiles heads off to try to find where Silver and Blaze are as they manage to get away. And while that's happening, both Team Sonic and Team Dark story continue as they did per the original game. Once we arrive at Mystic Mansion, Silver and Blaze encounter Team Sonic once again. Team Sonic is clearing through the zone, however Silver and Blaze manage to get ahead of them, and thus while they're approaching the zone, Silver and Blaze are waiting for them, much to Team Sonic's frustration and annoyance. Sonic was talking to Silver with him saying, "Look, I don't know who told you if I'm this Iblis or not, but I don't even know a thing about Iblis, and if I did, which I know barely anything about it actually, as Tails just informed me about it a while ago, I don't even know how to release the thing, so how would I even be able to do that?" And so what I'm saying, that's the thing, you don't know what it's capable of, and thus you released it. Sonic will be a scalper, and I'm saying, "Wow, you really are gullible, almost as gullible as Knucklehead here." No, this pissing off Knuckles and saying, "What did you say?" Before they can continue their debate, Blaze and Silver begin to attack, forcing Team Sonic to dodge their attacks. Silver uses telekinesis to the parts of the interior design at the zone and throws them at Sonic. Sonic dodges the attack, only for Silver to catch him in midair. Knuckles goes to help his friend, however Silver catches him with his telekinesis as well. Tails, on the other hand, begins to fight Blaze. Tails would attempt to try to fight back, however Blaze would begin to overwhelm Tails with their fire powers. However, Tails will use a dummy remob to distract Blaze and would manage to free Sonic and Knuckles from Silver's psychokinetic hold. However, Silver falls after them. As Team Sonic attempts to get away, Silver flies after them, and thus while in mid-air manages to grab the entirety of Team Sonic and throws them back into the zone. And thus Team Sonic quickly land back on their feet as Silver and Blaze says, "You're not going anywhere." And thus Team Sonic would up saying, "Very well then, bring it on." And then Sonic quickly going for a homing attack, sending both Blaze and Silver flying. Knuckles ended up going at punching Silver in the face. At the same time, Tails would grab Blaze and throw her down to the ground. However, they would quickly get back up as well, with Blaze uppercutting Tails and Knuckles. And like this would end up kicking Sonic in the face, allowing Silver to get a psychokinetic hold on Sonic and throw him down to the ground, and then throwing him into a couple of walls. However, Sonic quickly getting back up and going for a spin dash, hitting both Tails on accident and Silver. Sonic would have helping Tails out with it and apologize when Tails saying it's alright, unless they continue to fight. And while that's happening as well, Blaze is going in for a cheap shot on Knuckles, having Knuckles manages to block the attack and manages to fight back as well. Alongside this, Silver, whenever seeing that Blaze is being destructive, gets Knuckles and thus manages to throw Sonic out of the way and go help Blaze. Knuckles, now being overwhelmed, will manage to retreat, and thus Sonic will go in for a spin dash on both Silver and Blaze. Alongside this, Knuckles end up punching both of them in the face, and Tails will grab them and throw them into a wall. However, both Silver and Blaze get back up, and Tails dodging some of Silver's attacks, as Silver uses his telekinesis to turn the wall into a weapon, and that's because the Silver ends up firing at them. Sonic quickly dodges the attack, however, and Sonic ends up pulling out a Chaos, something we found earlier. Sonic attempts to use Chaos Control on Silver to slow down time, and thus uses his advantage. Sonic would manage to go for a homing attack, however Silver would end up pulling out a Chaos Symbol of his own as well. Sonic would end up wondering, can you use Chaos Control? And Sonic would attempt to go for another Chaos Control, however at the same time, Silver would also go for Chaos Control as well. And thus, a time portal appears here instead of the fight in Lost Jungle with Shadow. Sonic will be taken off guard by this as well. Sonic will be amazed and saying, Did we just open a portal? With Silver saying, "Yeah, we did." Sonic would be looking amazing at this, and Sonic quickly realized, could this be a time portal? Sonic would have turned into Silver and Blaze, and I'm saying, "Well, if I ended up releasing this supposed Iblis, then how about we head to your future and let's see what it's like, because I barely know anything about him. And I'll show you that I'm not the Iblis trigger." And from there, Team Sonic jumps into the portal, and Silver and Blaze decide to follow suit. And thus, while there, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles end up seeing their ruined future, as they end up seeing Iblis as he appears on the ground. Team Sonic ends up forced to team up with Silver and Blaze as they begin to take on this Iblis. Sonic will quickly home attack Iblis while Silver uses telekinesis, throwing Iblis down to the ground, allowing Knuckles to get a punch in the face on it, and Blaze uses her fire powers against Iblis, and Sonic would manage to throw Iblis back into the lava, forcing it to retreat. Sonic will look around this place horrified, with him asking, "What happened?" And Silver is saying, plain and simply, Iblis was released. Sonic ended up asking Silver, "Who told you that I ended up releasing this Iblis? Because I have no idea where to even find the person who has Iblis in it, in him or her. So how would I even be able to do this?" Silver and Blaze end up contemplating this as well. It's pretty obvious that Sonic clearly has no idea who has Iblis in them at the moment, and doesn't barely even knows what Iblis is. And Silver explaining to them who they are, and the Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles immediately put together with them saying, "Shadow?" However, Silver ended up saying, "No, he said his name was Mephiles." And Tails quickly puts two and two together with him saying that's the other half of Solaris. Silver will be taking off guard with this, and Tails tells him about the Solaris project and how Solaris separated into both Mephiles and Iblis. Silver will be shocked by this and saying, "So, you're telling me that Mephiles is the other half of Solaris?" "Yes, and it's pretty obvious that he manipulated you in order for him to release Iblis. Perhaps he wants Sonic or Sonic involved in the plan somehow that will result in him getting Iblis out so he can rejoin to become Solaris." So we end up contemplating this as well, with him saying, "You think?" We'll turn to Blaze. Blaze says, "It's a possibility. You could have tricked us." And that's Sonic saying, "Yeah. This just proves that you really are gullible, huh, Silver?" So we end up turning to Sonic saying, "Now's not the time." And then Silver ended up contemplating this, with them saying, "Well, if that's the case, we need to find Mephiles then and question him about this." And Sonic and Silver quickly used their Chaos Summons and quickly go ahead and open a portal, and thus they would jump back into the present. From there, Silver and Blaze agree to work with Sonic to try to get some information about Mephiles, as they will have to encounter at some point. And thus from there, they end up heading on their journey as the same. However, unbeknownst to them, Mephiles was watching this entire interaction, with him quickly realizing that Silver and Blaze is beginning to figure out what his plan is, and that Tails fully knows what he's trying to do. And thus Mephiles realizes that he's going to have to get Tails out of the way somehow as well, and that he's going to have to get Silver and Blaze to either A, somehow get them back to where he needs them to, or B, figure out another way to release Iblis somehow. As he could spin this to his advantage, knowing Mephiles the Dark, he would always find a way to spin this to his advantage, and since he has time travel, he really is capable of doing this. However, Mephiles either way knows that he's going to have to figure out some sort of way in order to spin this to his advantage. This way, he can go ahead and rejoin with Iblis, and can in fact become Solaris again. And thus, Mephiles ends up heading back into the prison as well, waiting for the right time to strike, and thus simply continues to watch in the shadows as the events of Sonic Heroes continue to transpire as they did. Just now, the addition of Silver and Blaze helping Team Sonic go through the final 3 zones of the game. And that is what we're in part 1 of What If Silver Was in Sonic Heroes. So I hope you all end up enjoying this Sonic What If. Make sure you guys go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what you thought of this What If, and how essentially what would have happened if Mephiles accidentally ended up selling Silver back during the events of Heroes. Everything would transpire there, as in part 2 we'll be covering the final battle of Heroes as well, at the beginning events of Shadow the Hedgehog, and Mephiles planning his next move, essentially how to, essentially what he should do next, and how he needs to plan this to his advantage somehow, either that or somehow get Silver and Blaze back during the time period he needs them in. But either way, he already fully knows that Sonic is fully aware of his presence, and more than likely he's not fully aware of him as well. Thus Mephiles now should be more careful. But I do hope you all enjoyed this video. Comment down below what you thought of it, and I'll see you all in the next one.